Hello and welcome to the show. Today we are going to look at sales on a budget. We're going to look at how to use free and low cost tools for people who are in early stage startups. Now, this is a topical thing to discuss because everybody wants to grow their business, especially early stage people, because they're focused on growing profits, but they don't want to spend too much money. At least people who have their businesses as going concerns, you're already chugging a lot of profit. They see no problem with removing, some cash to spend on Instagram advertisements or getting a coach or something like that. So this is always a topical issue to discuss because there are people who want to grow their business without spending money. Now, the good news is sales and business development activities are precisely the kind of things that you can start with very little or no money to get things moving. And that's one of the reasons why I'm an ardent preacher of this gospel. Because for advertising, Instagram advertising, Facebook advertising, well, back when I used to do it anyway for my wedding photography practice, it wasn't that expensive. We could do I think my budget was about 1,000 something. I can't remember. Maybe 1,005, 1,007 for about a week or something like that. So, not that bad. But then when you consider that you're going to be running those advertisements on a weekly basis for multiple weeks at a stretch, sometimes it's a budget that some people can't stand to bear. But then when it comes to simple things like prospecting, for instance, that I talk about over here on the podcast, which is going out to look for people who might be interested in your product or your service, that is something that you can do at relatively less cost because truth is you'll be going out anyway. So, well, anyway, yeah. So that's the reason why I promote the gospel that I do. But before we begin, I'd like to dispel one myth that a lot of people have. This whole thing of trying to get stuff for free, it's not going to work because you are always going to spend either time or money to get things done in your business. The question is, which do you have an excess of? So, people who have quite a bit of cash will end up spending cash to get the business going. If you feel that you're tight on cash, you are going to spend most of your time and effort to get the business going. So, let's begin with the definition of startups because I like to make sure that we're clear on the terms that we're talking about. So, startups, like I say on the podcast, there are two definitions, two easy definitions that we can go with. And number one, that is any early stage business. So, if you're in Momsi, are thinking of starting a catfish business at the back of your house or at the back of her house, let's say she owns the house and you're still living with Momsi, then that is a startup. That's an old definition of startup anyway. But there's a newer, much more sexier definition of startup, which is that it is businesses that are tech enabled. So usually they're talking about some hardware, software kind of thing. And then they get lots of funding from venture capital or angel investors or investment banks or whatever. So they're getting lots of money to run the business. And then the goal of it is to IPO, that is, do an initial public offering. That is where you make a big company, get a bunch of people to buy shares in it, and then that way you get massive valuations. You can exit, you can sell your shares to someone else and then leave, and blah blah blah. So those are that is a much more newer and sexier definition of a startup. But for the purposes of this podcast episode, I'm going with both of them. So if you're starting a catfish business at the back of Momsi's house, no problem, you're a startup. If you have a fancy fintech idea that is going to try and sell insurance to underbanked populations like Nigerian farmers, no problem. We can still look at tools that you can use tools to grow your business and to get customers. Now, for early stage startups, to define that term, there are different definitions. But the way that I prefer to look at early stage startups, whether you're selling catfish or whether you have an insurance app, is I prefer to say that for early stage, it should be people at the ideation stage. So you're thinking about which product or service to launch. So let's say the catfish thing. You want to sell catfish from the back of Momsi's house. You're thinking about catfish. You're also thinking about poultry. You're not quite sure. You're doing some research. Ideation stage, arguably, I would say that's an early stage startup. Arguably. Then, in between, when you're thinking of what to do, there's another stage where people have achieved product market fit, or what I like to call market validation. Now, this is the part where you're trying to figure out if there's a demand for your product or your service. You're actually going out and you're trying to sell something to someone to try and figure out if people are going to buy. Because there's no point in getting involved in the catfish idea or getting involved in the insurance product idea for Nigerian farmers if it is not a thing that there is any demand for, if people are not going to buy. So if there's no demand, if this thing doesn't have legs, then just kill it from day one. So for people who are between ideation stage and market validation stage or product market fit stage, those are the kind of people that I prefer to call early stage startups. So now that we've defined those terms, we've looked at what an early stage startup is and we've looked at what a startup is, let us rephrase the question. So the question that we're looking at today is, what are the free tools or what are the affordable tools? You know what, let's just stick to free. So what are the free tools that early stage businesses, early stage tech bros, early stage tech girls can use to get sales or to get customers? Now we're going to dissect this question using the same lens that we did last week when we're talking about technology elements for growing a business. Remember, that was a series where we spoke about people, processes, and technology for growing businesses. So, again, from that episode, I'm going to remind you guys that my definition of technology is the simple definition that most of us learned from doing introductory technology back in junior secondary school. That was back when it was still it was an elective. I mean, you could either do introductory technology or do I can't remember what the alternative was. But I hear that now intro tech is no longer compulsory, it's no longer an elective, history is no longer compulsory, it's no longer an elective. And I think we're doing our youth a disservice, having them run through a Nigerian secondary school education without having them compulsorily learn history or government or intro tech or something. Now, the reason why intro tech is important is because um, lots of us want to end up working in offices and things like that. But back when I was in secondary school, junior secondary school, even then people used to complain. At least there was a path for people to go to much more hands-on, skill-oriented stuff to become maybe industrial welders and things like that. Those opportunities, were there, and we're beginning to delegitimize some of those sorts of things. But let's face it, not everybody wants to be in the office. Not everybody can be in the office. Not everybody is going to be able to afford to continue past secondary school and go to university or polytechnics and all that. But anyway, besides my rant, where was I? So yes, my intro tech teacher taught me that technology just means tools for problem solving. And it was nice for me to hear because at the time, computers were becoming a thing. I mean, I didn't see my first computer until I was about, I think I was already like 18, 17, 18, the first time I saw a computer. I was back in Momsy's office. And yeah, so but even then, people started talking about computers and stuff. So back then, a whole bunch of us, young kids in school, we just assumed that every time you hear technology, we are talking about digital. You're talking about computers, and robots and fancy stuff, from watching Star Trek and everything. So, our teacher told us that technology just means tools for problem solving, whether the tools are manual, whether they are analog, or whether they are digital. Manual tools, these are just tools that you use with your hands. So, pen and paper, that is manual. Analog is just old school, mechanical machines, nothing digital there. Like a typewriter, it's just buttons and levers and hammers and gears. You press one thing and something comes out, output. So, typewriter, that is analog. Then, digital. Digital, those are basically just modern computers, laptops and phones. So, technology can either be manual, you're using your hands, analog, it's a mechanical thing, or digital, it's modern computer software and all that jazz. So, the classes of tools that you people are going to need, for those of you who are in early stage businesses, whether you want to sell catfish at the back of Mumsy's house, or whether you want to start the startup that is going to sell insurance to Nigerian farmers and people who are underbanked in Nigerian society. So, the classes of tool you're going to need are, number one, we're going to need tools of record. We're also going to need tools for creativity and ideation. We're going to need tools for scheduling, and then we're also going to need tools for communications. Now, let me run through them in just some detail. So, tools of record. These are tools that are necessary because we need to record what we do for future reference. Also, so that we can improve things as we go along. If not, we run into the danger of freestyling in our businesses. And remember, for those of you who listen to the show, freestyling is a cardinal sin on this podcast when it comes to growing your business. The problem with freestyling is if you do something and it works today, but you didn't record it, tomorrow you do not know how to repeat it or what you're supposed to repeat. So we should be writing things down. We should be recording things, however it is you choose to record. We need to record what it is that we did today, who we spoke to, what it is that we need to do. On and on. We need to record everything so that we know what to improve and also so that we can refer to in the future and get a sense of where we are. Then, tools for creativity and ideation. The reason why we need that is because no one knows everything. We need to be able to come up with good ideas for getting customers and for business growth. So that's why we need tools to help us think better and come up with some smart ideas. Then we also need tools for scheduling because nobody has a perfect memory. If you have no scheduling tools, then important things are going to fall through the cracks and you will lose money and opportunities over time without knowing. So back to the catfish thing at the back of Momsy's house. You get an order. Madame says she wants fish to the tune of, let's say, 200K or something. And Madame has paid you the 200K. But you don't use a scheduling tool. And so you forget that you have to deliver 200,000 naira worth of catfish to Madame Nkechi at a restaurant on Friday. And today is Thursday. Madame Nkechi calls and starts harassing you. You can see that that is a negative customer experience. Madam Nkechi decided to trust you with 200K. 200K right now, with the way the economy is, that's not small money. Especially if what she runs is a restaurant and she's just trusting you because you guys go to the same church, you're in the choir, she thinks you're a good guy, you're a good girl, you won't run away with my money. This is not a good way to start off business with Madam Nkechi. If you have a tool for scheduling, something will ping you on your phone, or when you open up your diary, you will see it there that Madam Nkechi's order is due on Friday. So I better start slaughtering the fish now, preparing it, opening it, drying it, spicing it, or whatever it is that you're supposed to do. So tools for scheduling, absolutely important. It's also the same for people who have the fintech idea of selling insurance. If you're supposed to meet people at CBN, for instance, maybe they have a meeting, they want you to clarify something. If you don't have scheduling tools, most likely you might forget that meeting because you're running around, you're developing the app, you're talking to investors, you might be having mommy or daddy issues at home, maybe cash is tight here, maybe your uncle is in the hospital, all these kinds of things. And then you just forget that you're actually supposed to go to CBN today at 10 o'clock. So these things happen. Then we also need tools for communications. That's WhatsApp, SMS, email, social media inboxes, phone calls, those sorts of things that we use to keep in touch with people. So this is the broad way in which I think we should be thinking about technology. Don't be thinking about a specific thing like a specific app or a specific website, but you should be thinking whether you're selling catfish at the back of Momsy's house or whether you have a fancy fintech startup idea. Think in terms of 1, tools of record. What do I need? 2, tools for creativity and ideation. What can I use? 3, tools for scheduling. What is available to help remind me about what needs to be done? And then tools for communication. For tools of communication, don't think in terms of the best. Think in terms of what will get the job done. Some people are phone call people. Some people are email people. Some people are Instagram people. Deal with people however they want you to deal with them. There's a social media influencer that I've been chatting with. WhatsApp, she will not reply. Phone call, she will not answer. SMS, she will not answer. But if you send her a message at 2:38 in the morning, she will reply at 2:40. Why she's awake at that time, I have no idea. And then if you reply again at 7:45, she'll reply at 7:51. Did she go to sleep at all? I have no idea, but you get my drift. If the person is an Instagram person, just keep Instagramming. If the person is an SMS person, keep SMSing. If the person is a phone call person, keep phone calling. It's not about you, it's about what is going to make you effective. Now, for tools of record, I've already done a podcast episode where I spoke about how you can use pen and paper, situations where that works, whether you should use a mobile phone, what are the limitations of that, whether you should record using your computer. Um, let's see, what else? Okay, I also spoke about voice and video recordings because there are some people who record meetings that they have with their clients. I also did an episode where I spoke about the legal notices and legal requirements that you have to give before you start recording people's voice and making videos of people. So just go to the technology episode. That's the one that I did. The episode was called Build Your Sales Machine: Tools to Win Deals Faster. I repeat, the episode was called Build Your Sales Machine: Tools to Win Deals Faster, and it was published on April the 26th, 2024. So if you go there, you get all the details so we don't have to repeat everything there because that was a fairly long episode. Then for tools for review and ideation, AI is something that I've been talking about because I use it every day for my business. And so I can talk to you guys firsthand that it's real handy when it comes for reviewing and ideation. But you have to learn how to prompt to get suggestions and things that you can execute upon. Now, for more details about that, I've already done an episode about that, the AI episode. And that episode was titled Level Up Your Career and Business with AI. Insights from NBC Youth Empowered. Now, let me repeat. The episode was Level Up Your Career and Business with AI. Insights from NBC Youth Empowered. And that episode was published on the 19th of April, and the year was this year, 2024. And that was the session where I spoke about talking to the young ones at this seminar that was organized by the NBC, the Nigerian Bottling Corporation, people behind Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta, all that real fancy stuff, all the good stuff that my wife doesn't want me to drink anymore. So, yes, I spoke about how I was talking to the youth there between 16 and 35. And I repeat again, if you're 35 years old, you are not a youth, in my opinion. You're an old man. You're an old woman. Okay, well, let me not say you're an old woman. I don't want to get cancelled, but I can talk to boys directly. If you're 35, you're not a youth. You're an old man. So stop sagging and stop slouching. Stand up straight and let's handle our business. Then, tools for scheduling. Guy, did I make an episode about that? I should have checked. Anyways, tools for scheduling, those are things like a CRM, that's the customer relationship management tool. Now, this is universal best practice, but what I recommend is to start with your mobile phone. This is Travershima best practice. Travershima is my name, by the way. I'm the host of the show. So use your mobile phone. That's Travershima best practice. The reason why I say everybody should start with a mobile phone is because you can use phones to get into the habit of recording stuff and scheduling stuff before you start spending money on HubSpot, Zoho, Salesforce, and the Nigerian equivalents of the apps. Because I have spoken to some people this year, I've already spoken to one person who has a sales team of 3 who has spent money on some of these tools, and the people are not using the tools for shishi. They're not using the tools at all. So, if you get your people to start with their phone, which is already in their pocket, and to get into the habit of entering the details and scheduling stuff, then when the time comes for you to buy HubSpot or Zoho or Salesforce or whatever it is you want to buy, it will take less convincing because they will see that, okay, this thing is useful. It's just a matter of getting them into a new habit because some of these things only run on laptops. So it means that they will have to get back to the office first before they can put in all the details or, whip out the laptop or the tablet instead of just using a phone conveniently. Anyway, so if you're using your phone, there are scheduling notes on the phone. You have the calendar, you have notes, you have reminders, you have alarms, etc. Those sorts of things. So what are the benefits of all these scheduling tools? Now, these are the benefits. If you use these sorts of things, you're going to know all the people that you're talking to. So the mistake of Madam Nkechi and her delivery on Friday, that thing's not going to happen if you have a scheduling tool, because you will wake up on Wednesday morning and your phone will just do pinging, and you will look there and there'll be a reminder, which you set a few days ago, which will say, Madam Nkechi's delivery for Friday, start slaughtering the fish today. And then you tell your mommy, mommy, we're behind schedule. It's time to start killing the fish so that we can deliver. Madam Nkechi has already given us 200K for the order. So these tools will let you know who you're talking to. It'll let you know the stage of the relationship that you're in, people that you have obligations towards, like you're owing Madam Nkechi fish, or maybe you're supposed to do a proposal or presentation somewhere. Maybe somebody owns a restaurant, let's say, okay, like Chelsea Hotel in Central District in Abuja. Maybe you know somebody there who's the chief cook. You've been able to get a meeting so you can go there and make a presentation so that they can start getting fish from you and Momsy's catfish farm, at the back of your house. You need a reminder, something to let you know about these sorts of things, because you might be busy with Madam Nkechi's delivery and then you forget that you're supposed to meet with head chef at Chelsea Hotel Saturday morning, 10 a.m. So that's why you need these things. Because while you're trying to slaughter all the fish to give Madam Nkechi on Friday, you might forget. So, one moment, I have to respond to something quite quickly. Okay, guys, sorry about that. You remember I've been complaining that my neighbor runs a commercial kitchen, and so one of his staff was outside because they needed my attention for something. So I think I was talking about the benefit of scheduling tools before I had to pause the recording and leave. Where was I? Oh yes, I have. So the delivery for Mama and Kichi. Okay, so people you have obligations towards. Then you also need to know people who have obligations towards you, because it happens. Mama and Kichi might have given you 200K, but actually maybe the precise bill was 202, maybe 203,500 naira. But she sent you 500K, you were happy, you sprang into action, and you forgot that Madam Nkechi is actually owing you 3K, 3,005. So what did I say? Anyway, the excess of whatever the 200 was, whatever number it is that I said. Okay, so these things happen in business. Um, Not everybody is a nice person that's going to call you up, because I remember one client I used to do business with. That's back in my photography days, and this guy was a confirmed big boy. So he wouldn't pay you much on the studio session, but the guy would order frames and frames and frames and frames. And so there was ones that we did frames of about 300, I think it was 319K, and he sent 300. And I noticed that was 300. So I sent him a message like, hey, bro, it's, you sent 300, no wahala, but I just sent a reminder anyway, a message, just let him know that still 19K left. I worked on everything, I delivered it, and then I set a reminder. But I set the reminder for 2 weeks, because he's a correct guy, so he's not the kind of person you go chasing all the time. And once I set the reminder, I just forgot, and somehow I missed the reminder on my phone. So he was the one who got in touch 3 weeks later to say, "Hey Travershima, I might not owe you some money." I was like, yeah, it's true. It's still remaining 19K, and then he sent it. So um, these things happen. You're talking to multiple people, and that's how you start losing money here and there. Somebody's owing you 2K here, 5K here, 10K here, 600 naira here, and before you know it, all those things add up to quite a bunch. Then you also use these tools to remember your next agreed upon courses of action. So since we've done 20 minutes, let's do a few more scenarios or case studies. So I've spoken about Mama Nkechi and the person who wants to do a fish farm at the back of Momsy's house and the Mama Nkechi delivery. So let's look at tech bros and tech girls. Since previously we've been talking about selling your fintech idea in Nigeria, let's just stick to that one. So now let's assume that these people, the tech bros and tech girls, are currently past the ideation stage. Ideation is done, so they know what they want to do. They want to do the app that is going to sell insurance to low-income farmers and people in the low-income bracket. And by the way, this is not something I'm making up. There actually is a startup that is doing that in Kenya and is about to start operations in Nigeria. So I made reference to that in one of the episodes on starting a fintech idea. So let's say now that these people are ready to start talking to investors. You can use ideation tools. You can use AI and Gemini. Since for Mama and Kechi and all that, I was talking about how you can use scheduling tools to make sure that you deliver to Mama and Kechi on time, and so that you also collect the 3K5 that she's owing you. So now let's see what we can do with ideation tools. So you're getting ready to talk to investors. I have always said time and time again on the show that you should be doing research on who your investors are and their areas of interest, so that you know how to tailor your pitch. Because the way you're going to talk to me, if you want to get investment from me, is not the same way that you're going to talk to my wife. We are different people, and my wife is halfway through getting her CFA done. That's the Chartered Financial Analyst. So my wife might be the kind of investor who is going to be asking you about projected cash flow, details on sales, and numbers, numbers, numbers. So if you're going to talk to her, it is different than if you're going to talk to me. I'm not a numbers person. I just want to be sure that this business idea, does it make sense? Have they sold a few things? Does this person look like they can sell? I'm focusing not just on the opportunity, but I'm looking like this boy, this girl that is asking for money. Do they have what it takes to see this whole thing through? So you need to know who it is you're talking to before you get there. So you should be able to do some research. Now, if you use Gemini, because Gemini has access to the internet, you should be able to search and find out information on who these investors are. Even if you can't find out information on them, because not everybody is a certified big boy or big girl. Because one day I did a search on myself, I wanted to see how much information that I had out there, and I realized that my phone number is all over the place, which is good because I want people to be able to find me easily. But couldn't find much information about myself on the internet, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I'm happy that my phone number is everywhere, so that's good. Then, so if you can't find information on the person, you can use Gemini or ChatGPT to do some research about the kinds of things that they might be interested in. You might say, Gemini. Okay, well, there's some people who talk to it like it's a person. Some people might say, "Dear Gemini," but anyway, I don't believe in all that jazz. It's a machine. It's not a human being. So there's no need to say, "Dear Gemini," or "Please Gemini," or "Good morning Gemini." That's my own opinion, anyway. Well, if you're one of those "Dear Gemini," "Dear ChatGPT," "Good morning ChatGPT" people, then hey, by all means, continue. So you can research. You can say, Gemini, I am a startup founder in the so and so space, and this is my app idea. I want to make a pitch to potential investors. One of them is a former photographer turned business growth podcaster who talks about this, and that. What potential areas of interest do you think this person might have as an investor? You type it, you enter, and the thing will say, Gemini will say, okay, based on information that you've given, this person might be interested in this, that. So when you're making your pitch, perhaps you might highlight this, highlight that. So you can see we are doing some ideation here. We're getting some ideas here. It's not 100% perfect, but at least it's giving you some confidence that you can approach this meeting and you know how to tailor your pitch. So you can see how for our fintech brothers and sisters, you can get more ready, get readier, whatever the word is, you can get more ready to talk to investors. Now, when you're done with the meeting, you can also use Gemini or ChatGPT to create email reminders. You finish the meeting, you're happy, it looks like 2 or 3 of them might invest, but you're tired to now sit down and start crafting an email for 1 hour. You can just type it out in Gemini. Gemini, I am a founder working on this idea. I had a meeting with potential investors on so and so date at this hotel at this and this and this time. The outcomes of the deliberation were this, and that. So and so investors seemed interested in this and this and this. Help me create an email reminder concerning our next course of action, which is ABC XYZ. And then you hit send. And then prep. Gemini is going to give you a draft email. Don't just take this email, copy, and then paste, because it's not going to be 100% correct, and it's not going to be 100% in your own voice, the way you speak. So take that email, look at it, and then start deleting stuff, adding stuff, rewriting a few things, adding your own words to it, and then things like that. So that by the time the email pops in the inbox and the investor sees it, or the investor PA sees it, if the investor's PA was there, the person will be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's that girl. I remember her. Or that's that guy. I remember him. So you do things this way with Gemini. You can see that instead of spending 3 hours to craft the perfect email, you enter this prompt, it gives you something. You might be done with your email in like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and you have your email reminders now for the 3 investors that you spoke to. Then you send it out. If they ask for term sheets, but in your life you've never heard what term sheet is, no problem. You can use Gemini and research what is a term sheet. You can use Gemini and come up with a draft of a term sheet. Maybe you know some other people that have done a startup before. You can now take your draft term sheet, send it to them and say, bros, sister, I beg, I spoke to some people, they say I should give term sheet. This is what I came up with. I beg, let me know, is this thing correct? Is it on point or not? They will give you some pointers. Take the pointers, adjust it accordingly, and you should be good. It's not 100% perfect, but it's a good way to have confidence that you're moving in the right direction. So you can use that to create your email reminders. You can use that to create your term sheets to send to your investors. Use Google Calendars. Set up your reminders, because if somebody says send me a 10 sheet not later than Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., you don't want to forget and then send it on Thursday at 5 p.m. in the evening. That's kind of sloppy. So set your reminders on Google Calendar so you don't forget anything. Also set the reminders for the follow-up call. If the person says send it to me and then call my PA, set the reminder so that after you send the email, you call, the thing will pop up on your phone. They ping him, call engineer so and so's PA. The number is stored on your phone as Kunle PA, PA Bigger Bros. And then you call Kunle, the PA of Bigger Bros, and you have the conversation. I spoke to, at the last meeting, Oga said I should do this. I've sent the email. He said I should call you, so I've called you. So, Google Reminder will make sure that you don't forget these things. Then, let's see. Okay, now if you're not a tech bro or not a tech girl and you're not doing fish, but let's say you're a beauty influencer on Instagram, I have to include these people because at the last time I was with the Abuja business ladies, I can't remember. Is it ladies at brunch? Ladies at Brunch was a professional networking group. One of the ladies there harassed me that everything I do, I'm always talking about people who have people who are running around face to face. Like here, catfish. You're dealing with something that is alive. You take it, you package it, you smoke it, you deliver. And you're also going and talking to people. And like in this case, tech bros and tech girls going for meetings. But there are some people who do not go for meetings because they run their businesses on Instagram. So I'm not going to call her name, but yeah, I'm now adding this segment for you so that the next time we meet, you won't say that I don't do anything for people like you. So if you're using Instagram for your business, then my guess is that content marketing is going to be a big part of trying to get clients. So the whole thing of content marketing strategy now becomes a problem because some people wake up every day and they're absolutely tired. They're like, I now have to start thinking of what am I going to do? Am I going to dance today? Am I going to point today? Am I going to do Instagram live? Am I going to do this? And people get tired of thinking. You can use artificial intelligence, you can use Gemini, you can use ChatGPT to create a content marketing calendar. So you don't have to wake up every day and start racking your brains. What am I going to do? So that's also one of the reasons why I can be here reliably every day, because I have a content calendar. I know what it is that I'm going to talk about. Okay, well, to be honest, I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about tomorrow because right now I'm recording today's on. All I have to do is tomorrow morning, I'm ready to record. I just open my notes. The one I did yesterday, cross it off. Look at the question for today, and then I just record today's episode. So you can see that I'm not racking my brain. So the thing that I'm going to record 3 weeks from now, I don't need to think about it. It's already on my phone. I just wake up and I go, okay, which one have I done? Cancel, 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 delete, delete, delete. Oh, okay, this is where I am. Sometimes I look and say, Kai, I don't talk about this one today, but it's on my phone. So just control copy and then throw it at the bottom of the list, control paste. So it's there, it's gone down at the queue, and then I move on to the next one. So content calendar, we should all be thinking about these sorts of things. Then that's for people in the beauty space. That's how you can use these tools for content calendar. Let's see what else. Okay, of course. Then okay, well, we're over 30 minutes, so let me stop with the scenarios. Let me just leave it like this. Besides, I always use scenarios in all the episodes anyway, so we'll probably talk about more things in future episodes. So that's all for today, folks. Remember to connect with me on WhatsApp. The phone number is 080-6466-2140, and the country code is +234 for those of you who are not Nigerian. Then connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Travershima Ayede. I'm the host of the show. You can confirm the spelling of my name and the email address from the link where you're currently listening to this episode. So thanks for your time and attention. I will catch you guys at the next recording.